Hey there, welcome. My name is Jessica Buchanan, and I'm a New York Times bestselling author, professional speaker, and founder of Soul Speak Press, a non-traditional publishing company created for women who've been through something, now they know something, and they can teach us something. In Her Words is a podcast designed to support aspiring memoir authors on their writing and publishing journey. It's hard work, this writing and publishing stuff, and I want to empower you with encouragement and information so you can keep sharing your truth. So grab your coffee, your notebook, find a quiet space, and let's dive in. Well, hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of In Her Words. I'm super excited that you are here and joining me for a couple of minutes to just learn a little bit more about the memoir writing process, the publishing industry, all of the things that I try to bring to you every Wednesday through this medium. Today I want to talk to you about how to find the theme of your memoir. And you may be thinking, well, isn't that obvious? Like, I have a story, I've been through something traumatic. Obviously, that's what my memoir is going to be about. And to that, I would say, actually, no. What you have been through essentially is not like the details of what you've gone through, what you've survived. Those are not necessarily what makes a memoir. Those are what we would call an account or a narrative nonfiction. And I have been harping about this. We just did an episode about like what makes a memoir a memoir. And remember, it's really about those lessons learned, those themes, those underlying themes that we can pull through and start to braid those golden threads, as I like to call them, together, to really help offer a transformational experience, we hope, for our reader, and also a transformational experience for ourselves as we write. Memoir isn't your whole life. It's the story about something, and that something is your theme. Again, it's not about the things that happened as much as the themes that come out of what happened. Why does the theme matter, you might ask? Well, without a theme, and I've seen this many times, memoirs can feel like rambling diaries, okay? And I'm sorry, you might have a prolific journaling practice, but that is not for anybody else to read. That is for you to process and for your own internal reading pleasure. We don't want to take the time and invest the money and the resources into publishing our journal. And you'd be surprised how many times I have to have this conversation with aspiring authors. The theme gives focus and resonance for your reader, and it also gives you structure and it gives you focus as you continue to write and develop your manuscript. I'll always say that it's not about what happened, but how you feel about what happened and what you learned about what happened and about yourself that makes your piece, your body of work, a memoir. So, some examples could be if the actual thing that happened or took place, the details are that you moved across country or countries for that matter, and it's your journey account essentially of what happened, but really what your moves were about and what your writing is about is this trying to find this sense of belonging. That would be really where you want to hone in on your memoir theme. Or if you are a parent who wants to write about your experience with mothering or parenting a child with disabilities, it's not necessarily going to be about the things that happened while you parented that child with disabilities. It's going to be about perhaps resilience or surprising love. Um, how to identify your theme might be harder than you think, but here are some suggestions. I want to give you 6 ways that could help you find your memoir theme as you're beginning to perhaps consider joining us on the I'm Still Here anthology project that starts in May 2026, or as you're beginning to think about and find space in your life and your mental capacity to begin that memoir that everybody tells you you should write. So you need to look at your stories, right? Like, I am in the process of writing about another story in my life. I always joke around with people because when they hear my my big T trauma story, right, of the kidnapping and being in captivity and then the rescue by SEAL Team 6, I'll joke around and say, I have so many more traumas to write about because it's not like that's the first really difficult thing that has happened to me. So I have lots of stories that I want to continue to write about and tell that I haven't had time or the space to do because the last 10 years, the only story I've had the energy for, and quite frankly, people have wanted to hear, has been about the kidnapping. But I have many more stories. And if I were to sit down and make a list, which actually is going to be your writing prompt for today, I'll go ahead and give it to you now. Go ahead and sit down and make a list of your stories, your life stories. And then if you want to take it in a step further, what could those themes be that you could attach to those stories, right? Currently, I'm writing a piece for Deserts to Mountaintops for Out of the Ashes, and I'm horribly behind. And I think I said in one of the last episodes that I'm procrastinating because it's really hard. Um, but I'm writing the beginning of the piece is about is a recounting of when I was like 11 or 12 and my mother left. She was desperately ill, mentally ill, and she left because honestly, I think she was going to go kill herself and not come back. She did. She ended up coming back. And while that is a really hard thing to write about and to talk about, that's really not the theme of the piece. The piece is about how um, I protected myself when she couldn't protect me. And then when I couldn't protect myself, she arrived to protect me from beyond the grave. And I went away this last weekend with my best friend who I've known since I was 9 years old and who has been through everything with me. And we were talking about this piece and how I'm trying to weave together those themes of this protection piece and how honestly, I'm not sure she would have been able to protect me and support me in the way that she did during the kidnapping experience because she was able to protect me in a way from beyond the grave because she didn't have her own like human experience to get in the way. And if that makes sense. And I'm trying really hard to figure out I'm trying to write about that and trying to come to that conclusion. But as you can see, that's not about the events that took place. It's about the theme. Okay, so here are 6 ways that could help you find your theme in your memoir. Okay, so I like to give steps. I like to give concrete advice. I'm a teacher, always will be, and this to me is the easiest way to impart information to you that will actually help you. So look for recurring patterns, right? Go through your journals, old essays, memory lists, what keeps showing up. Example would be that you may write often about moving and belonging and starting over. The theme might be about home and identity. I had this happen with an author who's contributing to Out of the Ashes. And it was really hard for her and actually me as her coach to help her connect with her theme. She thought first she really came into the project thinking she was going to be writing about um like professional traumas, like things that had happened to her in the workplace and how that had, I guess, impacted her ability to like figure out what she wanted to do with her life. But at the end of the day, we came to realize that really what she wanted to write about and what she was trying to say actually was about belonging to herself, belonging in community, and belonging to God. And I'm really proud of her piece. I think it's really cool how she just was like very open to the process and the exploration. And I can't wait for you to read it. Okay, the second suggestion I would give you is to identify the transformation. That is really what memoir is about. It is about that transformative, like that it could happen over a series of time. It doesn't have to all happen in just like one, fell swoop or one shock of light, right? But um ask yourself, how was I different at the end of this story compared to the beginning? I just had a brunch with a dear friend that I've known for about 10 years. Our kids played soccer together. And she's, very open about her story, her sobriety journey. And I literally sat in the restaurant and I started to cry. I felt kind of embarrassed because I didn't want her to have to feel like she had to take care of me, but I was so proud of her. And I'm like going to start getting emotional again. I'm so proud of her and the courage and oh my goodness, the sheer force of strength that it has taken her to get to where she's at now. And the transformation is so obvious. She's glowing, her skin is glowing, her whole way of talking is different. She's doing the work. I mean, the transformation it is so beautiful and so obvious. And she's thinking about joining us for I'm Still Here, which I really hope she does. Um, she's totally different than she was when I first met her 9 years ago. And it's such a beautiful reminder that it is possible to change. And I think that, like, actually, as we were kind of brainstorming some of the themes that she could write about, that was one of them of like, I think so many stories, so many people, especially who are caught in the just the horrible circumstances of addiction they don't believe because they don't feel like it's possible for things to ever get better and things to ever change. And I can't wait I hope I get to start working with her because I want to get to the meat of the core of what what helped you believe, right? Believe that it was possible for you to do something different and for you to change. And I write about that in The Pilgrimage of Motherhood. Like, that is one of the most important decisions. That was my moment of transformation when I was really struggling with my mental health as I was about ready to bring my son into the world. And my therapist told me that if I hadn't had a nervous breakdown during captivity, I most likely wasn't going to have one after I birthed my son because I was afraid it was going to be like my mom, right? And that was one of the most important decisions that I've ever made in my life, especially in my mothering life, is it was to believe her. So those are like those moments of transformation, right? Memoir isn't just about what happened, it's about who you became, who you become in the aftermath of whatever it is that has happened. We need to know what happened, we need to know the details. We don't have to get super granular just to give us context, right? But it is about that inner transformation. So, an example could be that you started your story as someone who was silenced by family secrets. We have a lot of these stories come through Soul Speak Press. And then in the end, we have a book coming out about this in April. She shattered the silence. That's the name of the book and what happened. And I'm not going to give it away because, you got to get the book in April 2nd when it comes out. But her book isn't about the abuse that she suffered. It is about reclaiming her voice and fighting back and shattering the silence. So, another way you could find the theme is to write a one sentence theme statement. Okay, so fill in the blank. This is a story about what? Conversely, you could also write, this is not a story about what? This is not a story about, my trauma and abuse. This is a story about what happens when we tell our truth, right? So don't overthink it. Try 3 to 5 versions and see what feels most alive, most authentic, most resonant with you. Um, is it a story about forgiveness? Does that resonate with you? Is this a story about surviving motherhood and finding yourself again? Does that resonate with you? Write down what resonates with you when you think about your stories and the possibilities and the different things that you could write. That was another part of our conversation today when she said, do you think, does everybody have a story to write about? And I'm like, heck yeah, I believe that wholeheartedly. Everybody has something they can write about. Whether or not they want to, that's up to them. But absolutely, everybody has something to write about. Okay, another thing that I find, I say this a lot to my authors when I'm coaching them, is ask what you want the reader to take away. Like, what do you want the reader to know? I can think of so many different authors that I've been in session with. Sometimes I get frustrated and I'm like, what do you want the author to know? Like, what do you want them to take away? What do you want them to learn from you? The theme is often the lesson or truth that you want to give as a gift to your reader. If you want them to feel hope in the face of loss, your theme might be resilience after grief, an invitation to something other than the end, right? Um, I mean, I always think about this in the context of teaching, what is my objective here? When I was teaching fourth grade, sixth grade, adult literacy, whatever, what is it I want to achieve through this lesson? What concept, what idea do I want to develop so that my student, can take away and learn something new about language or about a particular subject or about themselves? Again, I can be very concrete in a way, even though I'm very much a creative when it comes to these things. But this really helps you get some structure and make sure that you stay on course. And I think there's a fine line to walk between writing for ourselves and speaking our truth, and then always keeping the reader in mind. I don't want to compromise our authenticity or that sacred truth telling so that we are just serving the reader. That's not what I'm saying here. But again, otherwise, if you're not, I'm going to say something that you may not agree with, and I might get some hate for, but I do think that if you're not approaching your writing from a place of service, it's just a vanity project. I had a manuscript that I read a couple of months ago, and interesting-ish story. But there was no memoir component to it. It was basically just a story of an operation that had gone wrong, and it sounded like torture, but there was no transformation, and that was my feedback for her. And I said we can help you find that, but that's what developmental editors do, and that's expensive. So I don't think I heard from her again. But otherwise it's just like what's the point? And vanity projects are fine if that's what you want to do, but that's not really what Soul Speak Press does, and that's not what we're here to do. One other, I think this is a really great exercise and a really great practice, and I've done this in group coaching sessions before. Map your turning points. This is I love giving other book recommendations for those of you who are writing. My Instagram friend, Megan February, she's a great memoirist, and she's a trauma-informed memoir writing coach, and she just came out with a book in June called Brave the Page: How Writing Our Hard Stories Brings Healing and Wholeness, which I think and it's a beautiful book. But she talks about, I think mapping these turning points, she very poetically labels it as collecting memories. And so however you choose to describe it, it doesn't matter. But here's a practical suggestion for you. Write down 8 to 10 pivotal moments in your life, then step back and ask what connects them. This could be like, sometimes I've done timelines before. An example could be if many of your pivotal moments in your life have to do with starting over, like a new job, a new city, a new relationship, your theme might be about reinvention. This is when a timeline can be really helpful, like when you just plot out, like on a number line. You could even do it with the dates, however you want to do it, but plot out the highs and the lows, I always suggest, and then see, like, is there a theme that runs through those? Um, as my friend and I were talking about today, like, it's never about just that one isolated incident. It is usually like a whole ball of chaos that has like led to that incident that then needs to be taken into consideration as you're moving through your story, as you're moving through writing, to find that transformation moment. Um, I love this idea of using a mirror question. Here's my sixth, suggestion for you. Um, what is a mirror question? I think is a great question you may be having, or maybe but for those of you who don't, a mirror question is a reflective prompt that helps you uncover why you're creating something. It mirrors your inner motivation back to you and reveals your project's core theme. So imagine that you were someone or that someone was asking you, why do you want to write this book now? Right? Let me mirror that back to you. If you're listening to this and you're thinking about writing a book or you're working on a manuscript, why do you want to write this book now? Your answer often reveals the theme. An example could be because I want other women to know they're not alone in leaving toxic marriages. The theme here is freedom and empowerment after breaking free. Why did I want to write How to Survive Survival when I did? Part of it was that I was ready. I'd been writing it for a long time, and I was just ready to put pen to page and get it out. But I wanted to write it because I want other people who've been through traumatic experiences to know that they're not alone and that it is possible for their pain to not be wasted and for them to build a beautiful life. And my hope is that that is the theme that comes through the book. That's what I was aiming for. So here are your journal prompts. Okay. If you could write a memoir about any theme, here's another one. I already gave you one, but if you want an additional one, if you could write a memoir about anything, what would it be? I have a dream to write a memoir about all of my travels. I want somewhere to put all of the stories. Like, I think I'd like to do it in essay form, and do like short essays throughout the book, and then have like the lessons that I've learned, what I've learned about myself in those moments. So that's something I'm probably going to be starting on once I get through the How to Survive Survival. Very different for me, but I'm ready. And why? Okay, what is the theme of it? I don't know because I haven't sat down and asked myself these questions. But if I were to mirror with myself the question, why do I want to write this book now? Hmm. Oh, I know why. It's because I am tired of writing about my trauma. And I want to write about the beautiful life that I've been able to build and that I've been so wonderfully gifted with. And it's time to start writing about the beauty and the joy. And that's why I want to write it now. So more on that later. I'll keep you posted. Okay, a couple of reminders. Our latest anthology, Rising Above, Our Journey to Wholeness After Breast Cancer by lead author Jillian Lachota and other contributing authors is available October 23rd. Help support these women and, celebrate their resilience and Breast Cancer Awareness Month by buying the ebook on 10/23 for 99 cents. And then buy a paper book and send it to a friend. They have worked so hard over this year. I'm so proud of them. It's a wonderful, wonderful book. And I know it's going to go far. You could support me by purchasing How to Survive Survival, a guide to turning life's hardest moments into meaningful contribution for the world. It'll be available October 29th. Same thing. We'll discount the ebook to 99 cents for 24 hours so that you can buy it and then leave me a review, so that more people will be able to get this book into their hands and help me hit that bestseller list. And then if you want now, I'd be happy to send you a PDF for free. And then if you want to purchase a paperback or hardcover, I would love it. I would be so grateful for your support. A couple of things that we are offering up. We're starting to take submissions for the I'm Still Here anthology experience. It begins in May 2026. You'll be working with me and my team for nearly a year, and it'll be an incredible journey. We like to call it a masterclass in memoir writing, editing, publishing, and book marketing. You're going to learn get a little taste of every single facet of what it means to write a memoir, publish it, and get it out into the world. If you're interested, just reach out to Lauren at hello@Soulspeak Press, and she'll send over a submission form, and then we'll reach out to you. And then finally, we're hosting our first ever international writing retreat in September 2026. It's going to be in Piemonte, Italy for 5 days. It covers your accommodation, your food, excursions. We're only charging $3,500. So it's that, and then your flight to Milan. And we'll do daily writing instruction. You'll get feedback sessions with me and my other coordinators and facilitators, our director of publishing for Atlas Legacy, Jess Greenwood, and then my author friend, friend, Jennifer Artley, who spends a lot of her time in the northern part of Italy. It's just going to be a tremendous experience, and I can't wait. So if you're interested, reach out to Jess Greenwood, Jess G at Soul Speak Press, and she will get you a submission form for that. And then I have one more last request. This doesn't require you to buy anything, but I've been looking at different podcasts as we've been moving through like the pitching and the book marketing ideas for how to survive survival. And I'd be so appreciative if you listen to this and you learn something from it. If you wouldn't mind leaving on Apple Podcasts a 5-star review, and just the more reviews we get, the more reach the podcast has, and the more women who need some memoir instruction or could benefit from the interviews that I do with other authors, they'll be able to find out about this. So I'd be so appreciative if you could support us in this way, and at the end of the day, all that matters is that you keep writing, keep sharing your story. If we can ever be of service in any way, let us know, and I will see you next week. In Her Words is hosted by me, Jessica Buchanan, and is produced by Soul Speak Press, a non-traditional publishing house for women who are ready to tell their story. If you would like to know more about our submission process, I encourage you to check us out at www.soulspeakpress.com or follow us over on Instagram at soulspeakpress. We appreciate all your questions, and if you would like to leave us a review, we would be so grateful.